Hey, today I'm talking about 3 more Imogen Poots films. If you're unfamiliar, I love Imogen Poots. She's one of my all-time favorite actors, and I've seen almost every single one of her films. And so I thought I'd just knock out a couple more today. So today I'm talking about Chatroom, She's Funny That Way, and A Country Called Home. First up is Chatroom. This is a 2010 film that most people are like, this film is trash. Like, it is at 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is impressive. And like, even audience scores are like, this is terrible. And I'm like, it's pretty good. It has flaws, don't get me wrong, but like, it's actually solid. So it's a 2010 film that stars a bunch of young British actors that you would recognize, a number of whom from Game of Thrones. The main actor, though, is Aaron Taylor-Johnson. And the premise is Aaron plays this really sad boy who's maybe very depressed. And maybe he wants to meet some other kids and convince one of them to kill themselves and he can watch. So like, yeah, it's a f***ed up subject, but I think they more or less treat it pretty well. Like, the other characters realize what he's doing and call out how shitty he's being, but he's also a very manipulative person and he has power over these other kids. So like, it makes sense that they're kind of powerless to stop him from doing some of the things that he does. It also has like a physical representation of the chat rooms, and I'm honestly fine with that because it's basically like it's a long hallway and then there's a bunch of different doors, and the different doors are the different chat rooms, and you can like password protect the chat rooms, and there's like chairs in there and you can decorate the chat rooms. And I'm like, yeah, okay, those are all things you can more or less do in actual chat rooms. So I'm very fine with how they decided to do that. I think that it works. And I think they did a good job of like separating out like when we're always in the digital world versus the real world. I think what brought this movie down a bit, there are just a couple moments that just don't quite work right. For instance, a really important moment was after the kids have first met, Aaron's character is like convincing them that he's this awesome guy. He basically just gives this speech about how parents are dumb, and they're like, yeah, you're great, you're our leader friend now. And I'm like, no, we needed a bit more than that. That speech was too generic for them to be like, let's do it. But honestly, I enjoyed this film a ton. I think it did emotion really, really well, and the actors did good. So yeah, I enjoyed this film a good solid amount. Would I recommend it? Yeah, just be aware it's about suicide and kids doing really fucked up things. So like, this isn't a movie for everyone, understandably so, and definitely be in like a good right headspace in order to watch it. But I think it's honestly a well done film. So yeah, it is worth a watch if this is the type of vibe that you want and you're in the right headspace for it. So yeah, I would recommend it. Next up is She's Funny That Way. This is a 2015 ensemble film. It's one of those comedies where there's like a half a dozen characters and they're all interconnected in some way, and there are situations where like they all just happen to go to the same place at the same time and then shenanigans ensue. But the premise is Imogen plays this young woman who used to be a prostitute, and in the future she's become this like known actor, and she's like doing this interview thing where she's talking about her career and how she got discovered, and it's because of this one director. He gave her $30,000 to stop being a prostitute, and then shenanigans ensue. And it's fine. I do have a number of issues with the film. Firstly, I hate anytime there's a story where like, I'm this guy who's so good at sex, even prostitutes tell me I'm good at sex, and they mean it. No, that's dumb. But I honestly did enjoy this film. There were lots of fun moments, even though Owen Wilson's character is pretty slimy. He gets a lot of comeuppance, and that's fun. What's his name from House of Dragon and Little Nicky? That guy is in this too, and he's clearly just having a ball the entire time. My least favorite character slash story is Jennifer Aniston. She does okay. She's not the most talented actor, but my issue more so is that her story is she is a therapist who recently was dumped in a very dramatic way, so now she's giving out really bad advice to people. And I think that premise is fine, it's okay, but the things that she says are things that therapists would never say even on their worst day. And I would know this because my dad is a therapist. No, just no. Another issue too is I feel like there's just a lot of stuff missing. Like there's just like some connective tissue things, especially like for some reason everyone just shows up together at the end of the movie, and I'm like, why? Most of these people have no reason to be here. After I watched the movie and after I felt this way, I discovered there's actually a director's cut. It's not widely available. It was like discovered after the director passed away. It was only shown like at exhibitions, but I read a really long review about it. And I think it fixed a lot of issues that I have with the film, and it really fills it in. So I do think had I been able to watch the director's version of this, that I would have liked it more, but unfortunately that's just not an option, so it didn't happen. Would I recommend it? It's fine. I would say if you're like a big fan of like ensemble pieces like Valentine's Day or Love Actually or What to Expect When You're Expecting, like those big ensemble things, all coincidental interacting stuff, like yeah, sure, it's fine. It fits pretty well into that genre. So if that's your favorite genre, like yeah, sure, go for it. But if you're not super into that, then nah, it's okay to miss this one. It's nothing to write home about. And lastly is A Country Called Home. The premise is Imogen plays this young woman who has a very poor relationship with her father. She hasn't seen or talked to him in years, but maybe his health's not doing good. So she goes back to her hometown in Texas and has just hometown adventures. And it's fine. There's definitely bits and pieces that I like about it. Even though I don't like the character of her like sort of stepmom is interesting, and I've definitely known people like that. I also like Mackenzie Davis's character. She plays a trans man in this, and I like what they're going for with it, but I don't think they did enough with them, just because like they're like just a friend and nothing really happens with them. And then like I sort of expected there to be like a little bit of a romance between them, but there wasn't. There was a little bit of a romance with someone else, and I'm like, I don't know, like that. So I don't know, it was a pleasant enough experience to like ever have the urge to shut it off, but at the same time I don't think it really did a whole lot with the subject matter to really like warrant any kind of recommendation. So I don't know, it was fine. It had a cute ending. Would I recommend it? Again, it's not a bad time. It's just like, doesn't really do anything that exciting with the genre, so Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Chatroom, sitting at number 134 in the quite like section. And then after that is She's Funny That Way, sitting at number 185 in the liked section. And then bringing up the rear is A Country Called Home, sitting at number 193, also in the like section. And this is out of a total of 243 old movies so far this year.